Are you a songwriter? Are you looking to turn your songwriting passion into a full-time gig? Whether you are just at the start of your songwriting journey or a seasoned industry professional, this show is made for you. Welcome to the Songwriter Show, bringing together songwriting news, interviews, and community. Now, welcome your host, Sarantos.
Thank you so much for tuning in, and welcome back to the Songwriter Show, right here on Reality Radio 101. I'm your humble host, Sarantos. I'm a solo music artist who's been writing lyrics for as long as I can remember. Words are so important to me, and that's why I'm thrilled to host this show for you every single Tuesday evening. I believe in my heart that every song is a story. Tonight, I'm so proud to have Tony Mantor on the show. He's an established and successful American singer-songwriter, pianist, podcast host, and record-charting music producer who is celebrating working in Nashville for more than 30 years.
And now, welcome this week's special guest.
Welcome to the show, Tony. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So, you've been doing this for a little bit, huh?
Just a few years.
Have you always been in Nashville, or is that just kind of where you ended up?
No, I was born and raised in Madison, Maine, just a little town up there. And, age 8, I started playing piano. My mother said, hey, if you're going to do this, let's fix it up. Let's see what you can go. I fell in love with music. And then things just progressed where I stayed in music. And then I had some friends of mine that didn't have transportation. They wanted to go to Nashville and pitch their songs. So I took them down, and from there I met a lot of people. I just started going back and forth, and then worked with a lot of great guys, and they actually talked me into getting off the road as a singer-songwriter and getting behind the board with doing production development like they were doing because they were getting ready to retire. So I made the move in 93.
That's awesome. Tell us a little bit about that, right? That's a whole different world when you're producing and doing some of that stuff.
Well, as a producer, I have to think like it was when I wanted to be that singer-songwriter that was getting to radio and having hit records. Yeah. I've got to give them the right production. I've got to make sure we do the right arrangements. We've got to have the quality musicians, the quality mix downs, and just really give them the opportunity to have some success in their future.
Yeah, and it's a very different ballgame. What do you do currently? Is there a certain percent mixture that you do?
No, actually, I'm all over the board. I mean, I went to Berklee College of Music, so when I was here in Nashville, I couldn't buy anything other than a country hit, and people would say to me, it's like, I wanted to do some pop and want to do other styles. And I told him, I said, I didn't go to Berklee College of Music to learn how to play country music.
Yeah.
I said, I get it. So it took me a while to get into the different places that would look at me seriously. And then, so I've produced, Jackie Wilson's son, Bobby, which is R&B singer. I've produced Mila Mason, which is a country singer. I produced Glenn Campbell's daughter, Debbie, which is more on the country side, like her father. And I currently am producing a jazz singer by the name of Donnie Most, and people remember him as Ralph Malph on Happy Days.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. That's wild. Like, that's a blast from the past. I totally remember that.
Yeah, I did an interview on the local TV station here in Nashville, and we were talking about a podcast that I was doing, and we was talking about that, and she asked me different questions, and I said, well, I said, well, I'm working with Donnie Most, Ralph Malph, and she looked and she goes, now that's a name I did not expect to hear today.
Yeah, totally. Wow. What's the funnest thing for you to do out of all this stuff you're involved in?
Oh, I love the creative part of it. I mean, being able to go in the studio, arrange these songs that people have written or people haven't written, I find them a song, just being able to take a song in its baby form, and arrange it, find the right musicians for it, the right instrumentation, put it all together, work with the vocalists so they get the shining vocal that just makes them sound like $1 million. then the background vocals, and then mixing it down, and then polishing it off and mastering it so that it's ready to go to radio. That's the best part because it's really the creative side.
Yeah, and for some of our listeners, tell us a little bit about, are you untouchable? Can they work with you? Like, do you have indie kind of deals, or how does that work for you?
Well, I have an independent label. It's called Plateau Music. I have been an independent label since 2005. When I moved here in '93, Plateau Music was just a production development company. I would produce people, develop them, get them ready for labels or for pitching or whatever they wanted to do. And then in 2005, it actually developed and evolved into a record label. And since then, I've worked with independents. I've worked with some major people, Motown people, I mean, you name it. And we've put songs out there, and I've had, 40 plus records that hit the top 40 and a bunch that hit the top 10. So I'm willing to work with anyone that I feel is a good match for me, and I'm a good match for them. And we talk about where they want to go, and I give them a shot of reality because it's not like the movies. Everybody goes in there and then all of a sudden I've just been discovered. It doesn't happen that way, So I give them a dose of reality. If they can take that, then we go to the next step and talk a little more and see what we can work out.
Yeah, that's great. Do you only produce people under your label, or do one-offs, or do you do like independents that just want to work for hire, want to do one song or 5 songs or something like that?
Oh, I'm an independent producer, so I don't work for any one company, or and so if someone wants, they call me up and they say, hey, we'd like a production. We're thinking about doing a couple, 3 songs or an EP or whatever. Yeah, I'm available for something like that because the way I look at it is if I can help somebody get to where they want to be, but they've got to understand, if I take them on to do an EP, I'm going to treat them like I would be if I was going to put them on my label and put them out to radio. It's got to be that good because I'm not going to let my quality drop just because somebody comes in and says, oh, it doesn't matter if we do this. Let's shave corners. Let's save money. That's not what I do.
Yeah.
I do quality projects, radio-ready projects, something that can, when I'm finished with it, it can compete any place in the world.
Yeah, and it's good to know that because you don't want to compromise your signature sound. I mean, it's simple as that.
Yeah, I mean, it really comes down to if you're willing to accept less from somebody, and somebody's willing to give you less, then ultimately you're going to get what you wanted, which is less. So I want somebody that comes in and they're willing to say, I want you to push me to the limit. I want you to take and make me better, because that's what I tell everybody. If they work with me and I produce them, I am going to make them better because I dig into them and I work with them. And I've been known to spend an hour and a half on one word to make it right.
Well, and that's the difference between the pros, right? It's about a few subtle changes, and it's not about rushing through it. It's always about editing and tweaking. And
Exactly. Because you always want to, I tell everybody I work with, or even if I don't work with them, I tell them you always have to put your best product forward, because there's 2 reasons. You never know who's watching you, and you never know who's around that next corner that can help you if the quality's right.
Yeah, you're saying something that everybody in the audience should definitely listen to. I could tell you that I was rushing to put out a song every month, and you really got to focus on quality over quantity. And it took me a while to get to the point where I'm really more confident of the stuff I'm putting out there, but don't rush it. You definitely got to take your time.
Exactly, because what you put out is you.
Yeah.
And if you want people to look at you, listen to you, respect you for what you're doing, it's got to be equal to something that they listen to on a daily basis as far as quality goes. The sound of the song may be a little bit different because everybody's different in their style. But if the quality of the recording and the vocal and all that is at the highest level that it can be, then at least they're not saying, oh, I don't like that because it's poor quality. They might not like it because they don't like the style. and that's okay. But I would rather have somebody say, that's not my style of music, but the quality's good.
Yeah, for sure. So tell us about the song we're going to hear. What do you want us to take from it? What inspired it?
Well, actually, this song I did not write. It's a friend of mine pitched it to me during the pandemic. I decided that I'm going to go back to my roots, and I'm going to cut an album and just do it for the fun of it and give it to friends, family, kids, grandkids, whoever wanted it. I wasn't doing it to make money. I was just doing it for pure enjoyment. And a friend of mine sent me this song, and I heard it, and I'm going, wow, this is me. I'm always on my social media telling people never give up on your dreams. Doesn't matter when you do it, only matters that you do. And this song is about never giving up. And this song also turned into an anthem now for autistic people. I'm doing a podcast that brings awareness and acceptance and understanding to autism, and I did a video on this that's called Why Not Me Nashville, and I've got all people in Nashville that are autistic and in the special needs community that joined me in the video.
Very cool. Okay, tell you what, let's take a listen, then we'll come back and talk a little more. Okay.
Okay.
All right, everybody, check this out. Here we go.
There's a mountain wide and high. It reaches halfway to the sky. In my heart, I know that I'm supposed to climb. Well, the fear's down in my soul tell me I might lose control. No matter what they say, I'm climbing anyway. Why not me? Why can't I? I'll never know if I don't try. Yeah, I might fail or I might fall. It's just a mountain after all. So why not me? There's an ocean deep and blue. It stretches out in front of you. On the other side is everything you've dreamed of. So say a prayer and then set sail. Stay the course, you will prevail. When the doubts start whispering, just lift your voice and sing. Why not me? Why can't I? I'll never know if I don't try. The storms may rage, the sea might roar. It's just an ocean, nothing more. So why not me? Why not me? Why can't I? I'll never know if I don't try. Yeah, I might fail or I might fall. It's just a mountain after all. Just an ocean, nothing more. Why not me? Yeah, why not me? Yeah, why not me?
Thank you so much for sharing that song. That was pretty cool. Can you tell us a little bit what this song has led to?
Yeah, well, when I first started it, I did it in a country vein, and it really wasn't country. I recorded it on a pop style, but I added a steel in it to give it a little texture like the Eagles used to do,
Yeah.
and everybody thought it was country. So I just let them think it was country. Then my friends in New York, Nashville, L.A., and London wanted to release it, so we released it, and I did a video to pay respects to our first responders. After that, I had a lady call me up and said, I really love what you did for the first responders. Could you do that for us? And she's a speech therapist for autistic children. So I wound up re-recording it to the song that you just heard, the style that you just heard, and I did another video called Why Not Me Nashville that included all the autistic community from Nashville. From there, it wound up getting like over 200,000 views, and people just started, can you do this? Can you do this? And it just grew into where I started a podcast called Why Not Me, the World. And I talk with people all around the world that are either autistic or have autism in their families. And it just kind of brings a better understanding to people that might not know what autism is or how to deal with it, if they have it all of a sudden in their family. And it's just grown. And I never saw it coming to what it became. But now, just today, I got the charts out for Apple Podcasts. And in the mental health part of it, I'm number 17, and I'm number 44, I think, in the health and wellness charts. And then there's a company called Listen Notes that tracks all the listeners and ranks you whether you're in the top 10% of over like 3 million podcasts worldwide. And I've gone from 10% to 5% to 3% to 1.5%. Last month I was 1%, and now I'm 0.05% of all the podcasts in the world that people listen to. So it's really grown, and I think that it's really helping the autistic community, and I'm just hoping that we can keep doing that for people that need our help.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. What is your favorite instrument to work on or to play?
Well, I'm a pianist, so I like piano, but I just love all kinds of instruments. I mean, I did a session here a few years ago with a quartet from the Nashville Symphony. And I mean, we had $1 million Stradivarius. We had a $3 million cello. I mean, and the players on this was just unbelievable. And the sounds they got on this song. And if people want to hear the song, they actually can go to my YouTube and it's Spread Your Wings. I did it with that. And it's just a great sound. So I love, those type of things because it just the texture it brings to the music. But then you get into another style of music where you get into the raw, sound of a great guitar player. There's just so many great things that you can do, and it's just a blending of them all together that really, makes it, real sweet.
If you had one piece of advice to give an aspiring songwriter, what would it be?
Take your time, think it through, listen to what songs that you like are out there, and imagine your lyrics to that song, and then put your music to that song. That gives you a structure that will compete with different songs that are out there in the charts. And then that gives you something that you can build on to create your own little niche in music.
Okay. Would you give any advice to somebody at the tail end of their career?
Yeah, it's kind of like when we see boxers or sports figures that are on the end of their career and they're trying to still go out there and do it, but they really don't quite have it. You feel for them because it's like, you remember what they used to be, So when you're on the end of your career, I think the best thing is to be able to be honest with yourself so that you know what you can do if you go out and play live. You know what you can do if you want to continue songwriting, because you can sing. I mean, I got friends of mine that are in the 80s and still kicking out hit records, as far as writing the songs. So there's no age limit on certain things, but there's certain things you've kind of got to take and know your limits on. So you've got to, I think the best thing I could say is be able to be honest with yourself in the reality of where you're at.
Good advice. So last question for you. I kind of try to ask everybody this, don't always get to it, but any scams out there that you want to warn us about? We've all kind of fallen for something at one point or another.
The biggest thing when you go to Nashville, New York, LA, any place that does music, production or music, different parts of the music business, is if it sounds too good to be true, probably is. You've got to be able to go to a producer, a record label, a publisher, whoever the entity may be that's going to work with you, and realize that it's going to cost some money to do what you want to do. Because there's a reason why they call it the music business, because it is a business. There's no difference between the music business and a car mechanic. They both perform a service for a fee. The difference is that service a good quality service, or is it a bad service? So you've got to know what you're getting yourself into. You've got to be able to have the person that you're thinking about working with be able to tell you who they've worked with, what they've done. Because if they're trying to, oh, well, don't worry about that, I'll just take care of you. If they're not willing to say, hey, I've worked with this person, this person, this person, and you can't verify it, then you need to run. Because if they've got something to hide, they're going to have more to hide once you start spending money with them. Especially when you're calling them saying, hey, when's this going to be done? What are you going to do? So the scam is out there for everybody in any phase of any business. But the biggest thing is you got to do your homework, know what you're dealing with, and then be able to go out there and look on the internet and check out, who you can work with and who you might want to work with and what they've done, because those abilities are there now. Whereas back in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and even the early part of the 2000s, a person could tell you, oh, hey, I worked with Reba McEntire, just to pull out a name. But there was so many firewalls around Reba that you couldn't get to anybody to find out if this person was telling the truth or not. Because in the older days, they used to walk into these scam artist of offices, and they would go to the local CRSs or the local fanfares where all the stars were there, and they'd get their picture, and then all of a sudden you'd walk in to their office and they've got pictures all over the walls of them with stars. Yeah, I worked here, I worked with them, I did this, I did that. But you couldn't prove it. You couldn't prove them wrong, or you couldn't prove them right, because there wasn't the internet, there wasn't all those type of things. But that's there now. So there is lots of ways for somebody to find out what someone's done or has not done, but you got to do your due diligence, you got to do your homework, and then you got to be real with yourself, because just this guy tells you what you want to hear and that's what you want to do, it still might not be the right thing for you. So it's a hard thing to do when you're turning away from something that somebody's telling you that they think that you could be. But ultimately, if they're just telling you can be that so they can get their pay, then it's going to wind up in a bad situation anyways. So do the homework, check them out, and don't be afraid to ask questions.
I think that's great. Okay, tell you what, last question. What is your favorite song of all time that's not your own song?
Favorite song? There's just so many. But I got to say, One of These Nights, Eagles. I love that song. It's just got such a great vibe to it. That's one of my all-time favorites.
It's awesome, Tony. I want to thank you so much for being on the show tonight, man. It was an absolute pleasure. Love to have you on again anytime.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So to any listeners out there, thank you for spending a little bit of your precious time with the two of us. We thank you, and we hope your own unique story gets heard around the world. My name is Sarantos. Please join me every single Tuesday evening to hear other amazing artists share their fascinating behind-the-scenes stories right here at the Songwriter Show on Reality Radio 101. Have a great night, everybody. I love you guys.
We enjoy
enjoy victories, but they're few and far between. We see a picture and we know what it really needs.
So to get better daily, struggle chasing bright lights. We're always hungry and working, chasing vibes every night. But there's a secret most don't know. I was told it long ago. It'll help you rock your show. Every songwriter needs to spend some nights here in Nashville. It's just what you gotta do to let the music come to you. Every songwriter needs to spend some nights here in Nashville. That's what we've gotta do. Why don't we stay a night or two?
Yeah, Johnny walked the line, Kenny rolled the whiskey dice, Gosh and I Blake ruled, Dolly worked 9 to 5, dreaming of a better life.
Well, you know there's still a beat of Nashville, whispering Taylor's ear. If you wanna climb the charts, can breathe in the past and magic here. If you wanna make it, no way to escape it. If you can take it, here's what you gotta do. It's really up to you. Every songwriter needs to spend some nights here in Nashville. It's just what you gotta do to let the music come to you. Every songwriter needs to spend some nights here in Nashville. That's what we've gotta do. Why don't we stay a night or two? Yeehaw! Every songwriter longs to stride the stage at the Grand Ole Opry to the cheers of 8,000 music fans. Hey, hey, hey. Every songwriter needs to spend the night here in Nashville. It's just what you gotta do to let the music come to you.
Every songwriter needs to spend some nights
Here in Nashville. So now, you know what you gotta do to make it like the Bakers do.
Thank you for listening to The Songwriter Show. To keep the momentum going, head over to www.songwritershow.com and join our free music community of artists, songwriters, and producers. That's www.songwritershow.com.